What's good, everybody? RJ here, and this is Coffee and Convos. This is my reading place. This is a space for conversation, thought, and reflection. I'm here to think out loud, ask better questions, and challenge the stories we're told to accept without examination. You're welcome here. So grab a cup, take a breath, and let's have a real conversation. Why we need Captain America right now. On August 11, 2025, President Trump took an unprecedented step by seizing control of Washington, D.C.'s police force and deploying 800 National Guard troops into the Capitol. This happened despite violent crime being at its lowest point in more than 30 years. Homicides were down 32%, robberies 39%, and carjackings 53%. This action was framed as protection, but the numbers told a different story. It was not a response to danger so much as a demonstration of power. That move did not exist in isolation. According to reporting from the Times, the Pentagon is now developing a permanent rapid reaction force capable of deploying to any U.S. city within an hour. This marks a shift toward normalizing military presence in civilian life. Once that threshold is crossed, the line between public safety and martial control becomes dangerously thin. I've seen this warning play out before in fiction. In Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Steve Rogers uncovers Hydra's Project Insight, a system designed to eliminate perceived threats before they ever act. The program justified as security. It is sold as prevention, but Rogers recognizes it for what it is and says it plainly. This isn't freedom. This is fear.
This is Project Insight. 3 next-generation helicarriers synced to a network of targeting satellites, launched from the Lemurian star. Once we get them in the air, they never need to come down. Continuous suborbital flight courtesy of our new repulsor engines. Stark? Well, he had a few suggestions once he got an up-close look at our old turbines. These new long-range precision guns can eliminate 1,000 hostiles a minute. The satellites can read a terrorist's DNA before he steps outside the spider. We're going to neutralize a lot of threats before they happen.
But the punishment usually came after the crime.
We can't afford to wait that long. Who's we? After New York, I convinced the World Security Council we needed a quantum surge in threat analysis. For once, we're way ahead of the curve.
By holding a gun to everyone on Earth, you're calling it protection.
You know, I read those SSR files. Greatest Generation? Yeah, it's did some nasty stuff.
Yeah. We compromised, sometimes in ways that made us not sleep so well. But we did it so that people could be free. This isn't free. This is fear.
That line matters because it draws distinction America often forgets. Safety imposed through domination is not liberty. Control justified by fear is not justice. In the comics, when America no longer represents the values Steve Rogers fought for, he did something radical. He walked away from the Captain America identity entirely. He became nomad, a hero without a country. The decision was not cowardice. It was conviction. Rogers understood that patriotism is not loyalty to power, leaders, or symbols. It is loyalty to principles like freedom, justice, and accountability. His nomad era stands as a warning. When a nation abandons its ideals, the most faithful may have to stand outside the system to defend them. More recently, Sam Wilson took up the shield. As a black man inheriting a symbol that has often excluded people like him, Sam was forced to confront the gap between America's promises and in reality. His Captain America made one thing clear. Wearing the stars and stripes is not about blind celebration. It's about responsibility.
Look, I get it, but you have no idea how complicated this situation is. You know what? You're right. And that's a good thing. We finally have a common struggle now. Think about that. For once, all the people who've been begging, and I mean literally begging for you, to feel how hard any given day is, now you know. How did it feel to be helpless? If you could remember what it was like to be helpless and face a force so powerful it could erase half the planet, you would know that you're about to have the exact same impact. This isn't about easy decisions, Senator. You just don't understand. I'm a black man carrying the stars and stripes. What don't I understand? Every time I pick this thing up, I know there are millions of people out there who are going to hate me for it. Even now, here, I feel it. The stares, the judgment, and there's nothing I can do to change it. Yet I'm still here. No super serum, no blonde hair or blue eyes. The only power I have is that I believe we can do better.
The shield does not belong to an administration or a party. It belongs to the people, and it represents the rights, the dignity, and freedom. Sam's story reinforced that symbol only means something if it's used to challenge power, not to excuse it.
Only thing bumming me out is the fact I have to live in a world without Captain America.
Oh,
It reminds me.
ooh.
How does it feel? Like it's someone else's. It isn't. Thank you. I'll do my best.
Trump's tactics mirror a familiar authoritarian playbook. First, inflate and distort a threat. Second, centralize and control under a single authority. Third, deploy military force into civilian or political spaces. Fourth, package the erosion of rights as protection. Since August, that playbook has moved from theory to practice. Domestically, Americans have watched federal enforcement operations turn deadly. Renee Nicole Good and Alex Jeffrey Preddy, and also Keith Porter, died during immigration-related encounters. In each case, this justification followed the same script. Officers feared for safety, procedures are followed, accountability dissolved into bureaucracy. These are not isolated tragedies. They are symptoms of a system increasingly comfortable with force and increasingly allergic to transparency. Abroad, the pattern continues. The United States has escalated its posture toward Venezuela and Cuba while floating overt interest in Greenland as a strategic asset rather than a sovereign people. A visible military armada now surrounds Iran under the language of deterrence, even as history shows how quickly deterrence becomes provocation. America's boots are now on the ground in Nigeria, framed as counterterrorism support but extended U.S. military presence deeper into African soil. Each move is justified as stability. Each one expands reach. Each one concentrates power further from public consent. At the same time, the long-promised release Epstein Files have exposed another contradiction. Transparency is promised, then delayed. Documents are released, then redacted. Names are obscured. Accountability is diffused. The message is clear. Power protects itself. Justice becomes selective. Truth is managed rather than delivered. When institutions demand trust while refusing clarity, skepticism is not cynicism, it is self-defense. This is why Captain America still matters. Whether as Steve Rogers, as Nomad, or Sam Wilson, Captain America represents a vision of patriotism rooted in conscience, not compliance. He stands for the idea that loyalty to a country means holding it accountable when it strays from its ideal. When leaders use fear to justify control, when force replaces consent, when secrecy replaces truth, that is when the voices must rise to say, no, this is not who we claim to be. Real patriotism is not flag slogans or pageantry. It is the courage to defend liberty when it's inconvenient and to challenge power when it is dangerous. In times like these, we do not need a stronger state. We need a stronger morale spine. Thank you for having this conversation with me. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Be safe.